Good afternoon, folks. Yeah, this is Old Truth speaking with some more extremely bad news. And I'm going to read it and give you a little bit of information. This is going to be brief. A black security guard was killed by police after springing into action when a gunman opened fire in a Chicagoland bar. After a group of drunken patrons were asked to leave Manny's Blue Room Bar in Robbins, Illinois around 4 a.m. Sunday, one of the men reportedly came back with a gun and started shooting. According to WGN, armed security guard Jamil Roberson, 26, apprehended that man. Can you imagine this man, this young 26-year-old man, who was a beautiful person from what they're saying. In other words, he was honest, hardworking. He was a church member. Wait a minute, we'll get to that. I just want to read. 26-year-old Jamil Robertson apprehended the man only to be killed by the cops responding to the gunfire. Bystanders say police shot the wrong man. Soon as they arrived, they didn't ask questions. They didn't ask what he was doing. Now, they seem like to me the common sense would be, if you see the man, they said he had his knee in the man backing his gun on him. Now, the cop just jumped right out the car and started firing because the man's black, in a black neighborhood. Do you see this? And I've had quite a few inquiries about what are my thoughts. And one person said, was Malcolm X right? Was Malcolm X right? That's what I was asked several times. And to give food for thought, because this is happening over and over and over. 400, one person said it. And I agree with it. 400 years of slavery, 50 years of marching up and down, and we're no better off now than we were when we started. I mean, it's a tragic way of looking at things, but it's true. Okay, we're going to finish reading this. Roberson had somebody on the ground with his knee in his back, with his gun in his back, like, don't move, according to Adam Harris, who was in the bar. That's when witnesses said an officer from Midlothian, a southwest Chicago suburb bordering Robbins, and I've heard quite a few people say they've had run-ins with police from this area, and they are very racist. You know, like it's said by that group in Los Angeles, California, the cops and the Klan go hand in hand. In some areas now, not all. Not all cops are bad. That's not what we're saying. Okay, this is so horrible. A southwest Chicago suburb bordering Robbins entered the bar and killed Roberson. This is the cop. Clergy members at Purpose Church, where Roberson played drums and keyboard, reportedly said the slain security guard hoped to become a police officer. That's all he wanted. He was getting ready to train and do all that stuff, so the very people he wanted to be family with took his life, according to the Reverend Patricia Hill. How appalling, how disgusting. Do you know how that man's family felt to the feel? I mean, how horrible. And this seems to be happening over and over and over. Children getting shot down, unarmed black men being shot down for nothing, murdered by cops. I mean, this is appalling. Do you understand how black people feel? This is why black people don't trust the cops now. Do you understand this? And one person asks, how come every time something happens in a black neighborhood, a bunch of white cops show up? But that's not the case. But it certainly does look that way. I have to give, for the observation and the remark that the email that I was sent. Yes, it does. And in some cases, there are mostly white police officers that show up. I mean, that is true. But what's the point is this? How can we fix this? How can we fix this tragic action that keep taking action over and over and over again? The same exact sequence of events. Unarmed black man shot down by police. They don't even ask questions. Children like Tamar Rice and so many others. The little boy who was shot down had a little BB gun in the park. The cop who had a history of violence jumped out the car and murdered little Tamar Rice. I mean, how do we fix this? Like the gentleman asked me in the email, Was Malcolm X right? Total separation of the races because nothing seems to be changing at all. And matter of fact, and instead, it's actually getting worse. That's interesting. Interesting question. But, you know, look at this, look at this. Once again, it's the continuing narrative that we see of shoot first and ask question later, especially in the area when it comes to African Americans. Wow, that's the Cook County Sheriff Office said Roberson had a fire owner's identification card, but did not have a concealed weapon permit. Now, see, there goes the reason. This is what they do. Usually when they murder a black person, they look at what their great-grandfather did almost 200 years ago. And well, you know what I mean. They dig deep to get any minute bit of information, negative information to bring to the front. But you see this? He didn't have a cut, but he was helping them. This man is a security guard doing his job, trying to help out, to save people's lives, and you're still murdering. You see what I mean? How in the world do you expect black people or minority groups altogether to trust these cops? And a lot of these guys are as crooked as a dog's hind legs. Now, I'm just to give you a little bit more. Now, a Midlothian officer encountered a subject with a gun and was involved in an officer-involved shooting. The subject the officer shot was later pronounced deceased at the area. Chief Daniel Delaney of the Midlothian Police Department said in a statement, Delaney did not respond to a daily... No, never mind. It's enough is enough. We have a serious problem in this country, folks. We're more divided than ever. The hatred, the racism is running rampant. I mean, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Jews in the temple murdered by two blacks. Another racist trying to break into another black church, but thank God the door was closed. He go to Kroger's and murder two innocent elderly black people, a man and a woman, in a Kroger's supermarket. Mass shootings everywhere. Do you understand? Mass shootings everywhere. How do we stop that? How do we stop the violence and the racism? How? You know, it even looks as though it's gotten so bad that we can't even sit down at the table. All we hear from Washington is people slamming people all over the place. And, you know, and I'm not getting on the presidency in his office, but I must say, man, right now we're in great danger. America is sitting out all by itself. You see what happened in Europe when they paid tribute to the all those dead soldiers over in Europe. And the president of France got up and said his speech. Remember what he said about patriotism versus nationalism? That was rather an insult, and you know who he was aiming that at. And all he wanted to do is appeal to his racist base here in America. Do you understand? We are in great danger, and the whole nation is just totally pulled apart. What does it say in the Word of God? A house divided against itself shall not stand. So I ask you, I'm tired of seeing our people getting murdered. I'm talking about our innocent people. Of course, I don't want to see anybody get murdered, but I'm really tired of this. What are your suggestions? What do you think we should do about this? Because this just keeps happening over and over and over. I'm not talking about gangbangers and dope slingers. I'm talking about innocent people. Innocent African American. And also innocent people of color. Folks, we need God more than ever before. We need God more than ever before. Because He's the only one that's going to get us out of this. If we keep our faith in the hand of the man who stilled the water. And I'm going to say something, folks. I'm just going to jump up to something. This black on black violence is appalling. And I'm not blaming white people for that, because white people have nothing to do with black people, the way black people are murdering each other. You're supposed to take responsibility for your own actions. And that's subject for debate. God bless you, folks. Keep the prayer going for those people out in California who are losing everything. Everything is being burned up in these ferocious fires. And also keep the family of those whose loved ones have been and being shot down in all these mass shootings all over the place. It's quite a time in America, folks. That spirit of hatred and racism and this crazy spirit is running loose in America. Be careful, folks. God bless.